at Riverside, I had to check out my friends here, the spotted turtles, and that habitat that we set up a couple of months ago. Everything's looking really good. It's growing in wonderfully, and I'm so excited to see it.
Pancake tortoise in here, and we also have a unsexed Egyptian Eurymastix as well. And when we were creating this enclosure, we had to take into consideration that they both have different niche habitats, and they're not from exactly the same areas, but they do have some similarities in the way that they're housed. The Egyptian Eurymastix wants to be kept really hot and very dry, whereas the pancakes want to be kept warm but not too hot, and they also want to be kept a little on the humid side, but also kind of on the arid side as well, so a little bit in between. And to try and mimic that, we made a really hot spot for her so it can get up into around 100 degrees on that rock there. And then we made some shelves, I call them mail slots, for the pancakes, and they're very good at climbing up into those. And they have a lot of options for hiding too, so if they want, they can go to the cooler side here, which is farther away from the heat source, or they can go right underneath the heat source there. It gets into the 80s range there. And then they also have some areas over there that they sometimes hide in. Mostly they like to poop over there. And we try to keep it damper on the substrate surface, but then there's also some caves in here that she can hide in if she wants to, or if they want to escape that altogether and go up onto the rocks, it gets very dry up there underneath the heat source. So she has a climbing space over there on the right, but otherwise she just likes to go and eat the pancake diet, even though she has her own diet. She's gonna go eat right now. And we have some really, really exciting news. For the last few years, we've been having pancake eggs. We get pancake eggs all the time, and we've tried throwing them into the incubator and nothing ever happens. And this year, I really put my nose to the grind, and I talked to a few different pancake tortoise breeders and other people who have been successful with breeding them in the past. And we were actually finally able to get some of our eggs developing. And I tried to be cool about it. I wasn't completely committed to the idea that it was going to finally turn into a baby. I wanted to not get my hopes burst into flames. I wanted to be really excited, but also conservative at the same time. And then, lo and behold, after about 158 days, we finally got a pancake baby. We hatched our first one.
After about 158 days?
Yeah.
Who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting, right?
That's so cool. I'm with EmmaLee right now, behind the scenes, and we are checking out this amazing baby.
Can you see it okay?
Yeah, I can see in there. Look at you! Wow. So cool. Eat your dandelion, little guy.
He's still nibbling, but...
Welcome down to the turtle basement, everyone. I know this isn't the greatest shot with my arm extended, and I don't even know if you can hear it, but there's loud trickling water right behind me. But I'm kind of a tall dude, and my turtle area is indeed a basement. So I make do the best that I can. Anyway, I'm down here now to show you one of the resident groups of animals here. So there are actually a relatively large group of pancake tortoises that are living in this enclosure right here. Now, one of the really cool things about this enclosure is it's 8 feet long. I built it actually to fit in the exact space where it is situated, and it actually goes behind the wall. The enclosure continues back behind the wall to maximize the space that's there. That was basically wasted space. So that's one of those, pluses for building your own habitats. If I bought something, it probably would be 6 feet. Maybe I could find something 8 feet, but even if I did, it wouldn't maximize that space. There's a cutout behind the concrete where the space keeps going. So I built a cutout in the actual enclosure that keeps going all the way to the end of the wall. Anyway, I moved the pancakes there recently. They seem to really enjoy the new enclosure. You know how pancakes are, though. They're a little finicky. Sometimes they eat, sometimes they don't. They really love romaine and things like that, but they're a little bit picky. So anywho, by pancake standards, they are absolutely very happy with their new setup. I'm not super happy with it, though. There are enough hiding places, but I really want to deck this thing out. It is 8 feet long, and now I've got these new rocks. So today, I'm going to be adding the new rocks to the enclosure, and I also can't wait to tell you all about this species and why they're so special. Here goes nothing. One of the things I really don't like about this enclosure, a couple things, and when I'm showing it to you, I'm a little self-conscious. So the plexiglass that I used to actually make these doors broke as soon as I installed them because the doors were sticking. And when I unstuck them, the force of the unsticking made the plexiglass crack. I'm like, you know what? It's just going to happen again. Whatever. So eventually I'll probably replace that. But for the time being, for functionality's sake, it works perfectly fine. Also, there is a ton of incubation supplies. There are a ton of incubation supplies on top of this because that's where I keep my incubation supplies. So you'll see that. So just please forgive me. It's a little bit cluttered. I'm maximizing the space to the best of my ability. I even considered like adding some kind of cover here, but it's fine. You're seeing what it really looks like. Okay, so help me out here for a second. If a short stack of pancakes is 3 pancakes, and a tall stack or a full order of pancakes is 5 pancakes, then what do you call 13 pancakes? It's a lot of tortoises. But they've got a large enclosure, and that's what we're trying to do here. It's a lot of pancakes. Here they are, taking a bath. People ask me all the time what my recommendations are when they're setting up a new turtle breeding operation. One of the most important things, if not the most important thing, is having an area where you can really clean. And also having running water, hot water, cold water, warm water, whatever you need. So a sink is of the utmost importance. Not only do I have a sink here, but I actually have a veterinary wet table. So these are what we use in the veterinary space. We were doing a renovation to a hospital at one point, and the foreman the construction foreman for the project came to me and said, "Hey, I've got this darn thing and I need it out of here." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm listening." And he knew at that time I was traveling around to different animal hospitals to visit. And he said, "Do any of the people that you know have any use for an extra wet table?" And I'm thinking, is this a new wet table? Even if it's an old one, I'm in. Like, I'm already in. So I was like, yeah, I could find a place. And he said, "Listen, it's a 4-man job. You need to make sure you have 4 people to move this thing. It's absolutely huge." I said, "No problem." And I went, at the time I didn't have a truck, and my wife had a minivan. So I went and grabbed her minivan and I loaded this thing into the minivan all by myself because I needed to have it. It was non-negotiable. And we didn't even have our place at that time, our new home. I put it into storage. I just knew that we were going to move. I was going to have a new room, and this was going to be a pivotal part of my operation for breeding rare endangered turtles and tortoises. So here it is, and these are definitely the ones that we use in animal hospitals. What's really cool about it, you have a grate that can go over it. It's called a wet table. It really is just an awesome long sink that's easy to clean, stainless steel, has drawers underneath and everything, the whole shebang. But you can move the grates, remove them totally, and have a huge sink, or you can also have both grates in case you're doing something really yucky like a necropsy, that sort of thing. So anyway, I can't recommend it enough. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking it out with me today, hanging out with me with my own animals. I know, like I said, a lot of recent videos have been me out kind of gallivanting around the country, visiting different enclosures and collections and breeders, and even getting out into the field to find turtles in the wild and all those sorts of things. So with this video, we're bringing it back to kind of my roots, where I am, home for me, my animals, my own collection, the animals that I actually care for. So I'm really excited to bring this one to you, and there's more coming. This, when we started the YouTube channel, we were very concerned about, okay, how do we keep it fresh and keep things going? And we thought, okay, well, a little bit of travel here or there, plus, all the animals that I have, we felt good about our opportunity to keep it going. The travel ended up being a lot, and because of that, we had the opportunity to really cover a lot of other people's collections and other turtle related content outside of my stuff that we didn't really bargain for before we had started. So that's a huge plus, and something that's been a really happy accident, so to speak. With that, though, there's a lot of people saying, "Dude, we haven't seen any of your animals." So I care for quite a few species here, a whole bunch of different taxa, different genera, different species, turtles and tortoises, as you might imagine. Anyone who's ever seen my social media before YouTube even started, you know that. But again, today that we're focusing on kind of the work that was done out in the pond, and of course the pancake tortoises, because today was rock day. And with ponds, you definitely need rocks. And with pancake tortoises, you definitely need rocks. These animals are from a particular habitat in around Kenya, where they have these kind of rocky outcrops and these kind of areas that they can wedge themselves into. Basically, those rock formations are called koppies. And I have a tortoise here. So here's a pancake tortoise, beautiful animal. And I have a couple of females here. One is light colored and one is dark colored. So you can see the difference in them right there. They're dripping a little water on my floor. You can see the difference in the coloration there, which is amazing. These are both captive, hatched, and raised females. And you could just see the differences in coloration and kind of how there's a whole spectrum in terms of, light to dark coloration. Pretty cool. Now, what's amazing about these animals is that they actually are not hard shelled. So The outskirts, the marginals, these scutes along the outsides of the shell are called marginal scutes. And along those areas, that shell is nice and hard, like you'd expect a tortoise shell to be. But the center of the shell, particularly on the plastron, which is the bottom of the shell, is actually very soft. What's that about? Well, these tortoises go into those rocky crevices, and when a predator comes and wants to grab them and pull them out of the rocks, they can take in a big breath of air and push out that belly so that they can wedge themselves in the rocks and not come out. It's an amazing adaptation that this species has that makes them really special. I think that, pancake tortoises used to be imported uh, in droves. They're not anymore. So with that, the value of these tortoises went up a little bit. They still are, they're produced in captivity quite a lot now, which is great. I mean, in that sense, that makes the pancake tortoise a great success story because they have been produced, they are being produced. So all of those poor animals that perished during the days of large scale importation their lives meant something. Now, you can very easily get captive bred animals, and we don't have to import the species anymore, which is wonderful. So if you're interested in these, I would recommend them. I think they're a wonderful species to keep. They do have very specific habitat requirements. As I mentioned earlier, they can be a little bit finicky in terms of what they'll eat, what they want to eat. But as you see, I mean, this is closing in on being an adult here. I'd say this is a young adult, definitely large enough to lay eggs. This is not a large species. So, in terms of keeping, it can be a great animal for that. Try not to have too many males. Sometimes aggression can be an issue. But if you have a large enclosure, like the 8-foot enclosure you saw downstairs, and a lot of hiding places for animals within the enclosure, things generally work out pretty darn well. Pancake tortoises also have a propensity for growing kind of lumpy in captivity, but you see that they can also grow extremely smooth. This animal was hatched here in Connecticut and raised in a closed chamber environment, and you see that animal is completely smooth. Very proud of the growth of that animal, and that's why I chose this one to show you. What's up, everyone? I'm here in the greenhouse, and a lot of people ask me how tall I am. I'm 6'8", in case you were wondering. So I know a lot of times I'm doing interviews and stuff, I make some people look small. I'm very sorry for that. Certainly not my intention, but it happens. But you'll notice this greenhouse I'm in right now, I built it for me. So these collar ties right above my head are just about 6'8.5", 6'9" off the ground, so I can walk right under them without hitting my head, but it's close. And also the beautiful chandelier that I installed for my wife. But anyway, it's really nice and warm in here. It's feeling like spring or even summer in the greenhouse. But the reality is it's just early spring here in Connecticut. So I'm getting things prepped. I've got some chores to do. And I thought, you know what? Why not bring you along with me? A lot of times folks are seeing me out kind of on my adventures out in different parts of the country, visiting turtle people all over the place. Today, I'm home and I'm caring for my own turtle collection, and you'll be able to see a little bit of what that work looks like. And yeah, hopefully this isn't too much because I'm feeling a little lazy, especially trying to do the work and filming makes it like 2-3 times harder. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully I can achieve what I want to today. So the plan is that I'm going to work with my pond here, which I've had since we just moved in. Actually, part of the channel, Kevin Minto, who does a lot of the behind the scenes editing, and several other friends, Kevin Pollock, Charles Lee, came over with shovels the day that we moved in here to help dig the pond, and it didn't work. The ground here is really rocky, and you'll see a lot of the rocks that we have around the waterfall area actually came out of the ground when we dug the pond. All of them did, actually. Well, it's not really working, and usually every spring I have to kind of reconfigure the waterfall. I'm not an aquascape expert by any means, so I just did the best I could. And unfortunately, every year I have to mess with the liner because plants start to grow in around the waterfall, and it starts to divert the water in different areas. So what I'm doing today is pulling apart the waterfall, rock by rock, Hopefully it doesn't take that much. And I got a new pile of rocks from someone here in town, a business owner. I happened to just stop in like a cold call stop and said, hey, I help run a turtle conservation organization. I take care of a lot of turtles, endangered turtles. And if you have any broken rocks or anything like that that can't be used for patios and different things that you do, please, let me know. And they were like, yeah, come on in. And I had to twist their arm to give them like $40. They were trying to give me everything for free. It was amazing. They're like, look out there, anything you can fit in your truck, take it for free. I'm like, okay. So I did leave them a little bit of cash. I'm not that cheap, but they hooked me up with some amazing rocks. So I'm going to try to use a little bit of that to redo this waterfall. Thanks for joining me on this adventure today in my backyard, and I hope you enjoy it. This is the pond. We built this when we moved in, and we needed to get an excavator. It's not a large pond at all, but it is very deep. So the part behind me right there, that's the waterfall area, and you can see it just looks like a pile of rocks right now. Plants are starting to grow in between. It happens every spring. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing, but it works. It works. And water comes in and falls right down. Now, I did put kind of a feature rock at the bottom of the waterfall, which looked like a great rock, and this is how dumb I am. So when I first did that, I was excited. The rock looked amazing. It turns out that nice flat rock that I found, and it must have been the oldest concrete ever, but it was indeed concrete. It was not actually a rock, and the water started to wear that away. So what I'm hoping is to take one of those big pieces of slate, prop it up in a way that it can now be kind of what the water trickles down onto before it goes into the actual pond itself. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to tell you is down under the waterfall, because when we were digging it, we hit a rock, not kidding, that was about the size of a car. It was like the size of a small car. I was driving a Mazda 3 at the time. Don't ask me how I fit in it. Sometimes you just have to test drive a car as a big man to see what you could fit in. And I swear the rock was the size of a Mazda 3. Absolutely massive. And it went way down. So this pond was going to be about double the size that it is, but we had to stop once we hit that huge rock. Anyway, the area against that rock is where the waterfall is. The waterfall is on top of that rock, and it actually goes down 5 feet 2 inches deep. So my wife, it would be right at the top of her head. She's 5'2", and what that does is it allows us to brumate a lot of species, hibernate a lot of species out here over the winter. So we have northern red bellies, western painted turtles, red-eared sliders that live in this pond year-round, and they never need to come out at all. So, and also northern map turtles as well. So pretty cool to have a pond that can do all of that. So anyway, my small little modest pond that I put in myself, you feel really good when you do it yourself, but at the same time, I see some of these aquascape ecosystems that people create, and like what Chris has and stuff like that, and what Greg and Ed are doing, and that sort of thing. But I'm very proud of my little pond, and my turtles happen to like it very much. Thank you. In case I needed any reminder about how old I'm getting, man, moving these rocks is kicking the living hell out of me right now. You'll notice I pulled out the big piece of concrete, and now it's time to put in a new kind of pride rock focal piece right above that big rock that's underground for the water to kind of cascade down. You see this whole process, it's kind of ugly, but the idea is just to give the water a place to run. And it feels blasphemous to rip all the plants out that are kind of in those spots up there, but there's a difference between plants kind of helping filter the water and then them kind of changing the whole landscape of what I've built so that the water trickles out. Basically what happens here is, you know, a week after having the waterfall on, the water is down 6 inches because the water is slowly trickling out the sides of the waterfall because of how the plants have got in and kind of infiltrated everything. You see that my building strategy is certainly flawed, but it also works. But you can kind of see by how those kind of plants take over, how these bog filter setups really work. So anyway, halfway done. My muscles are not happy with me, but now it's time to get that new focal piece in and then really start to build around it. And then hopefully I'll be done with this soon. Oh, thank goodness, I'm done now. I'm trying to get this weird angle so you can see the waterfall behind me as I talk. So it's in. You see that I kind of use a little bit of creativity to build it up in a way that made sense to me. Not my favorite build. In a way, I'm kind of embarrassed to even show it with what type of, amazing pond builds there are out there, but I am not an expert on this. And this is me just kind of putting in the effort, putting in the energy, and trying to come up with something that works. So the turtles love it. You'll notice I've got dead hyacinth and things floating on the top, leaves and things like that. I don't clean this out. It's been going on 6 years now that we've had this pond, and I've never cleaned out the bottom once. So there's a whole bunch of muck down at the bottom, just like a real pond would have. And that's where the turtles hibernate. So it works for me, it works for them. It doesn't smell like low tide out here at all. And the waterfall helps with that. The makeshift wannabe waterfall. Calling it a waterfall is a little ambitious and kind, I think, but whatever, it works, it's here. And I'm now done with this. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Let us know in the comments if you have any species or subjects that you'd like to see covered in subsequent videos. We're really doing this as a service to the community. Everything I do is for turtles and turtle people. I want to build a community, bring people together, and make the world a better place for turtles and tortoises. You are a huge part of that, so please don't hesitate to get involved with what we're doing. Reach out. Nothing I love to do more than talk turtles with people who care about the animals that I do. Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Hit subscribe, join the crew. Just turtles. There's always something new.